Hi guys, back again. Ask Me Anything session Friday. And this week, typical questions from the community about business development stuff, personal branding. But this time I saw several questions about, how I built my business as a female entrepreneur. And I think I mentioned this before that, I think we need to do better with our female entrepreneurs in terms of stop telling them all the statistics that they have to deal with when it comes to how they're going to build their business and the issues that they will deal with as an entrepreneur, especially as a female entrepreneur. But one thing I will say is this week has also, funny enough, has been a unique time for me in my business, in that I've been a part of a lot of female tech circles, especially because right now I'm doing a capital raise. So many of you have heard that, I've been selected as part of the Tory Bush furloughs. I've been a part of UBS Project Entrepreneur program. And so someone asked me, how did I get selected for these customized programs that help entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs, build and scale their business? So 3 things I'll say to this. One, I'm not the type of entrepreneur that I would say that it's good to actively keep seeking programs to learn how to be an entrepreneur. I do think that there's nothing that beats just starting a business and going through the trials and tribulations. I would say the hazing process of being an entrepreneur. One of my favorite quotes from Elon Musk is what he said, if you need inspiration to be an entrepreneur, don't be an entrepreneur, right? I love that quote because at the end of the day, I kind of see entrepreneurs as this unique type of person in society that, you see a problem, you want to solve it, and you're passionate, and you're almost fanatically crazy about, tackling that challenge and making a business out of the solution to tackle that challenge, right? And so I think it's really unique when I see people say oh, can you, recommend a couple programs for me to get into as a female entrepreneur? So I'll share with you the ones I've been a part of. But I say that with a caveat that don't be the type of person where all you're doing is 24/7 trying to search for programs to help you build a business, as opposed to actually building the business itself. Learn from the wise, just go for it. So that's the first thing. So in terms of top programs I've been a part of, clearly, like I said, this year I've been a part of the Tory Burch Fellows. I'm part of Project Entrepreneurs, which is backed by UBS. I'm also, you'll find out next week, I'm part of another program that I got selected for based on the accolades. Obviously, I'm a part of the Forbes 30 to 30 community, and they have usually private sessions that they send out every single week. So I've had my share of programs specifically geared towards women, but also specifically geared towards young entrepreneurs under 35. And I take them as they go. Aside from the accolades and achievements it gives me as an entrepreneur, I more so go because of the network, because I think I really enjoy being in spaces where I can learn from other entrepreneurs who are going through the same troubles. I actually have a WhatsApp circle of friends who I admire for how they were able to build their business, or at least build their entrepreneurial career. And I tap into them. I pour into them my troubles, but I also pour into them ideas, resources, information, so that we're building each other over time. And keep in mind, for those of you who are trying to create WhatsApp communities with your own private friendship network of people that you trust and admire, the only way those work is if you're really vulnerable, really open, and really honest and candid about what you're going through. Very, very important. So that's the first thing. So I am part of these programs. The second thing I would say, irrespective of what people are saying about, this year being the year of the female entrepreneur, there's so many programs being announced for female entrepreneurs. We still, obviously, statistically speaking, are not getting enough resources. But for me, I want to go beyond the conversation around statistics when it comes to female entrepreneurs and talk specifically about the mindset. I actually think our ecosystem is doing more disservice to female entrepreneurs kicking off in today's day and age than the system itself. And what I mean by that is if people around you are constantly reinforcing the statistical issues that you're going to face as a female entrepreneur, I feel like it automatically, kind of demoralizes you in a sense, right? So I think, we need to do a better job just showcasing, maybe not so much, all the top female entrepreneurs who are killing it in the game, but just let's talk about it. What did they do, right? So I'll give you a perfect example. If someone asks me, what are the top female I would say influencers or business mogul that I admire in today's world that I want to emulate or that I want to learn from, right? First one, I would say Beyonce. And I'm not saying Beyonce because she's in the music industry. I'm in tech. So clearly her being in the music industry, there's no real correlation. But one thing about Beyonce I love in terms of her entrepreneurial acumen, I love that she has steadily figured out ways to control her distribution. And what I mean by distribution, I was in Dubai when her album released on iTunes. And I remember that being a huge issue where Target was pissed off. Like, how are you going to do this? This, that, third. But she literally took control of her own distribution channel. And that was one of the, and I don't think people give her enough credit in the industry for that. I think that was one of the first, if not the few times where an artist actually did something like that, right? Before, obviously, as an entrepreneur or a musician, you were heavily dependent on the labels to distribute your work. Right. So I'm really, really proud of like how she was able to kind of like, I'm Beyonce, right? Like, why should I be beholden to certain distribution channels? And a side point to show you the power of distribution, how I can make and break not only your business, but your brand as an entrepreneur. I don't know if any of you guys are watching the startup series that's viral right now on Netflix, which is pretty much called Startup. And I actually remember watching that with my husband because we love watching business documentary series. We just love anything business. Like, by the way, like we love watching these type of series. When it was on Crackle, we were watching when it was on Crackle, when obviously not a lot of people use Crackle to watch content in the same way that people watch Netflix, and actually failed on Crackle. Netflix bought it. It got picked up. It's like now the #1 trending series on Netflix. So everyone's talking about it now. We already saw the entire series. We hope that they come back with a 4th season because it was an amazing, amazing series. I loved it. Learned so much. But that is an example of the power of distribution, right? So first one that emulate is definitely Beyonce. The second person I think I want to just say candidly that I emulate is Michelle Obama. Obviously, again, really weird, but she's not in the tech space, right? But what I like about her, she's in the political scene. What got me in tune with Michelle Obama was her book, Belonging. My God, I love the power. Like, she is an extremely accomplished woman. Like, no one can debate. Out of all the first ladies that we've had, in my opinion, in American history, she is one of the top most accomplished females in the world, right? And the vulnerability that she expressed, being a wife to the president of the United States, managing being a wife, managing being a mother of 2 kids, because obviously I'm a mother, I'm a wife. So these are things that as women, we think about balance and career. As soon as Obama left the White House, man, she dropped her book and she just to the sky. I mean, such amazing, amazing ways to show you that. Long story short, Beyonce, I love her for her talent, her hard work, her ethic, her ability to control distribution and what she did there. With Michelle Obama, I loved how she shows that you could build out your career at any stage of your life. I do believe that we're doing a disservice to our females of this generation, where we're telling them that they have to get all the ducks in a row before they could pursue relationships, before they could be vulnerable and have kids and go through the journey of motherhood, marriage, if they so choose to do that, right? And so I really love how she just opened up her heart and opened up her story and showed, like, I took, not so much a step back to support her husband, but she literally knew that the priority was being the first lady of the United States, came out of that position, and then just focused on her brand, her career, her ethos in this world. And she just knocked it out the park, right? So I love that, she's given us as women a holistic look at what a future could look like, where you don't need to plan everything in 1 decade, right? I think I said this before. I used to be the checklist girl, where in my 20s, I'm like, I'm going to do 1 million things by the time I'm 25. Now I'm like, I'm going to do one thing that makes me happy, right? And what is that one thing that makes me happy today, this week, this month, this year? And that is my sole focus. so that way I accomplish that, because I feel like we need to live a life more of fulfillment and not one of just achievement, right? I think we're gearing towards a reality where trying to target achievement over fulfillment is not sustainable, right? Especially in this clout culture that we live in, we need to do better. So those are two women I highly, 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 highly admire, for their acumen, their vulnerability, their talent, and just their sheer power and strength in general. And the last one I would say that I actually like Oprah. I know Oprah is in hot waters nowadays where people are saying a lot of things about Oprah, but I think she redefined the media industry in many different ways. I mean, the talk show ecosystem was built because of Oprah Winfrey. Let me say that, and I'm going to say it loud and clear. She pretty much built that industry. And as a female powerhouse, I mean, she's a billionaire, right? Like, she is a business mogul that her face is recognizable around the world, wherever you are. And so I really, really love what Oprah has done to not only the media industry, but also she showcased that you can actually leverage a talent like, obviously interviewing to really bring out powerful stories to the world, right? And we've seen that, a lot of anchors now use that platform, use that system to do that. So I think she's done a great job. And also she's been very good, at least in the beginning years of her career, being very comfortable with vulnerability, right? And I think that's really important, that, we need more authenticity, by the way. And to have that, she did a great job. So those are three women that I admire just in general. So how does that infuse into my journey as an entrepreneur? I look at my career, where I'm at, what I've been able to do in the past decade. Obviously, I've been able to travel to countries around the world, speak at global conferences, I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I've been able to build businesses. I learned how to code. I built apps. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. There's so many things that I did in my lifetime, and there's so much, if God graces me with more and more years upon years, that I could continue to do. And I recently got a slew of questions about how, these are the top questions I get. How are you able to balance as a female? Or do you get discriminated against because you're a woman? Are you frustrated with the statistics that you have to deal with? So many negative connotations around how am I able to deal with building my business as a female entrepreneur? And we need to stop it. I really, really do think that we need to have a different way of motivating and inspiring and pretty much pushing our female entrepreneurs forward. We're doing them a disservice. I want to share with you a really quick clip about me actually even answering a question like this. This was way back at the United Nations at a women's conference, where I candidly said, like, no, we need to have a better way of communicating to the next generation of female entrepreneurs as a society. Take a look at this clip, because it's really important.
But one thing I will say is that I think, women go through the same entrepreneurial challenges as men. So it's the same emotional roller coaster, the same operational obstacles. So it's not really a difference. I do think we need to stop telling women before they get into an entrepreneurial path that they have so many roadblocks ahead of them, because men are not faced with that reality. They're not told that you're not going to make it. You're not told these statistics. Granted, we need to know about it, but I think, we should start showcasing more females and say that, we have rock stars there. Just because you don't want to highlight them in the magazines doesn't mean they aren't there. Because many times when in college, I go back to colleges and have these talks, and when they see someone coming back home, in their communities, they say, wow, like, it's happening. Like, why am I hearing all these statistics? I could just go out there. Mm-hmm. And the more of those faces you see, it really does help. And I think, secondly, because you met with all these different impressions, we take things personally. Yeah. And I wish if I could tell my younger self that a year ago, to just stop taking things personally. Mm-hmm. And stop wasting mental bandwidth on what the person could have been thinking, why they were thinking, because I can't help someone who has a gender bias. I just gotta keep chugging, because my mom would say, diamonds are made out of pressure, just keep going. And so I think if we just put that into our mental capacity and just keep going, it can help, because we're gonna go through the same challenges as men. We know what we're up against, but we need to realize that there are rock stars out there. So.
And you told me, I asked in our pre-interview how you tune out critics, and you said you just don't listen to them at all.
Oh, I don't. I mean, unless it's something that could help me pivot or make my business better, I'll listen. But if it's something that you came with generations of feedback to think that that's what it is, that a woman can't lead a business, I'm not wasting my time with you. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, and you should. And you should.
Yeah, so that was a really short clip from a panel interview where I was at the United Nations, and this was a time where I was just really scaling my business, and I was getting invited to so many different conferences to share my journey. How did I do it? How did I build? What did I learn? And you could see the frustration in my energy when answering that question, because at the time, I was just so frustrated with the statistics and the conversations, to how people discuss female entrepreneurs in this space, right? And I made it very clear that, we need to really have a better way of communicating how we empower this generation of female entrepreneurs. And more importantly, for me, I think I got to the point where, for me personally, I started saying, you know what, I got to be my own cheerleader and remind myself that I'm a boss chick, right? That, that I have really amazing acumen. I have really amazing business sense, that I have literally built and scaled businesses in countries that these people probably even wouldn't attempt to even go to. And that comes from experience, that comes from real hard work, right? And that I need to remind myself of that, and not even ask myself, okay, what is the statistical range of what happens for a female entrepreneur in this space? And so I think that's really important. The last thing I will say on a practical note, when it comes to the female entrepreneurs in this digital space, I just said it, we're in a digital space. So one thing that I got really good at, I actually was a speaker earlier this year at the LinkedIn's Transformer Conference. And what I was speaking about is digital networking. My God, this pandemic has been both, in a sense, like hard for some, but best for most. You are now able to tap into people around the world. One thing that I think was really helpful for me was, if someone doesn't want to connect with me, even digitally, now I know where I stand. Before, I could make an excuse like, oh, it's because this person is located in this part of the market, or maybe because geographically we're not based there. Now, because we live in a flat, geographically, digitally sound ecosystem, if someone doesn't want to do anything, no, you just don't want to do it, right? And I think that validation helps, because as an entrepreneur, you're constantly, pitching yourself. You're constantly pitching for opportunities, constantly trying to get access to certain things. And sometimes the best thing you could get is a freaking no, right? Because so that way you're not beating on the same doors every single day, every single time. So I think it's a really great thing when you're able to literally just know where you stand, right? Because as an entrepreneur, you have a million different things to do every single day. And so the best way to tackle what you need to do is being able to eliminate decisions out of your mind. And that starts with knowing where you stand. And so that's one thing I will say, is really getting really good at leveraging the digital space to connect with partners, clients, especially when it comes to partners, to build and scale your business. And one thing that someone asked me the other day, how was I able to really manage my network? I'll probably have a completely different session on how to leverage and manage your network. But one thing that I've done, first and foremost, I'm triggered to follow up with people either on their birthdays, either on holidays. I'm old school and I'm old fashioned. I actually do text people. I don't need to post every single time on social media so everyone to see. I actually do sometimes just text people, WhatsApp people, and say, hey, what's up? Let's catch up. If we're friends, I can just call you at any time. If we're not, we need to schedule, right? I know the difference as to how to tap into my community, right? And so I use trigger points throughout the year to tap into my network, right? So birthdays and holidays is two great ways to rekindle relationships and follow up with people. The second thing is, I root people on. My goodness. I don't know why people are so cheap with their compliments. If you see someone knocking out the park, just say, congratulations, you did that, right? Just say it. And so I've done things where I ping people look, I know there's a lot going on in your life right now, but by the way, great job. Congratulations. I just saw that you just announced your business. You just announced your book. You just launched this. I send that energy and that love, because I'm like, look, I know we haven't talked in 7 years, right? And I'll say, hey, like, I know we haven't caught up in years, but I just saw, social media, you announced this thing. I just want to say congratulations. All organic. I don't have spreadsheets, and everyone knows I'm a big spreadsheet person. I like to organize myself, but I keep an organic engagement with people that I care about. And that's what I do. So first thing I do, use the triggers, holidays and birthdays. Second, if I see they're doing something, I'm going to say, root on, keep it going. You're doing well. And the third thing I do is I also have newsletters that go out. So I have a newsletter that goes out every single month where I tell my entire community, this is what I'm working on. And by the way, let's catch up. Right. And I'll put a link at the bottom of the newsletter and say, like, hey, if you want to book to connect with me, we can talk about anything. It could be something serious, like business opportunity. It could be something silly, like, girl, I like your dress. Right. Like, it could be whatever. Let me fix my dress real quick. It could be anything. Right. And so it's just really about really just stay in touch. And the last thing I will say is I also know how to say no. And what I mean by that is I get bombarded a lot too by, I would say, not so much random people, but people who've either interacted with me. Maybe they saw me speak at a conference. Maybe they saw me at an event. And listen, I'm a goofy, fun person. I love you. I'm an extrovert. But ever since becoming a mommy, sometimes I just want to sit down and chill with my kids. I don't want to be talking to everybody. And that's okay. And so I systematically say, like, look, these Ask Me Anything sessions, you want to talk to me, you had a question, ask it on the chat feed. I am good to go and I'll answer them. Or in my company, I have monthly meetups where I sit there and I dedicate the time to talk to as many people in my business community as possible, right? So I schedule for those who are outside of my friendship circle, outside of my immediate professional circle. I definitely just say, like, hey, these are the two places where at mass, I engage with my community, right? And sometimes people say, well, I need this. I'm like, no, or not now. And because I got to protect my brain space, I can't pour into the world love, energy, and abundance if I'm depleted, right? And I actually say no without an explanation. That's the last thing I will say for female entrepreneurs in the space. Listen, you're building a business, you're scaling, you have a million fires to put out on a regular basis. It's okay to say no, and there's a period on the end. Let me just put that right down real quick. No, you see that? With a period. That's it, right? And it's okay. It's okay. And quite frankly, there was another celebrity, I forgot who he is. I love what he said. It was one of my favorite quotes. He said, if you have a problem with me, call me. If you don't have my number, you don't know me well enough to have a problem. Bars. I love that. And what I mean by that, the reason why I'm using that quote is because there's going to be a lot of people who want to reach out to you, want to connect with you, and whatever they're working on, whatever they're doing is a priority to them. And sometimes at an expense to your sanity and your safe space, right? And so if you don't respond to them in time, you don't respond to them in a certain way, they're automatically seeing you as an enemy. It's okay. Because quite frankly, the only people I owe my allegiance and my time to, my family or friends and people that I love and the communities I serve, right? Anything outside of that, I need to do it in phases. I need to do it in a way that is systematically sustainable for me to come out into this world the way I want to, right? And so I really, really love that quote. I think that was like bars on top bars in terms of really highlighting where people stand when it comes to connecting with you. So with that said, I'm seeing a lot of nice comments. Thank you so much. He's like, respect. Definitely really appreciate the comments. Thank you so much. I'm seeing a lot of great things. Hello, good to be a part of it. Keep it up. Thank you so much for the comments, guys. Marjorie as well. Loving the comments. So yeah, I do my best. So with that said, this is just, a brief, Ask Me Anything session. I do this every Friday. So I don't really have a curriculum. I think I'm just like going off the cuff. When I see things are issue, I just I speak on it and I talk about it during these sessions. So with that said, thank you so much for joining me on this Ask Me Anything session. I thought it was really important that I address this. There were too many questions around how I built as a female entrepreneur, and I really wanted to attack it hand on and just give my opinion about it and just really be very candid and say, like, look, we have some awesome females who are doing some amazing things across so many different industry sectors, especially in the tech industry like I am. Let's do better with how we introduce them to the world and how we introduce them to society about what they're building and scaling, and respect their hustle and just say it out loud. She did that. Simple as that. That's all we need to do. So thank you so much. Nice to see you guys. And I'll see you again next Friday, same time, same place. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.